Great. It's 6 o'clock. Shall we start?
Yeah, we should. We just. I think we're supposed to be live now. Yeah,
I believe we are. Yep.
we are live, but on the screen it shows the IGDC.
I've put that up.
Oh,
I've
you
put
put
that
that
up.
up. Okay,
Yeah,
we
that's
can
ready.
start.
Presentation's ready to go.
Yeah. Let's. Can you just have us on the screen for now?
Sure.
All right. I can only see you at the moment, actually. If you can leave the stage, I'll stay on stage and then I'll invite you. All right, looks like we are on, people. Hello. And if you can see me and if you can hear me, just type it in the chat so I know all good. Hi, Shubham. Ravindra says, I am live. Yes, we are awesome. Guys, I'm so happy. This is the first talk. This is a keystone of the careers track of IGDC 2021. Thank you guys for being here. It is going to be epic this year. We've worked really hard to get the best lineup for the careers track, and the idea is that we in India, game industry is booming. It's really off the charts, and we want you guys to join. We want you guys to be game developers. And to start off, the first talk is going to be our first speaker of today is Joseph. And Joseph Cairns. I hope I'm saying your name right. So Joseph is the founder and CEO of Adventure Recruitment, which is a recruitment firm specializing in the game industry, covering mobile, console, PC, VR, and AR games. He is an expert at headhunting, networking, and connecting with high demand candidates and providing them with exceptional experiences. So also, guys, we will at the end we're going to have 5 or 10 minutes of Q&A, 10 minutes hopefully. So if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. Right, discussion is fine. Please put it in the Q&A and I will filter them out and we will ask the appropriate questions of Joseph at the end. Also, please remember there is a handouts tab, and in the handouts tab there is a form. The top of the handout tab, there is a feedback form. So at the end of the session, it would be awesome if you could please give us feedback about this particular session. So with that, I hand over to Joseph. Take it away, sir.
Great. Thank you so much, Rahul. Thank you. And hello to the Indian Game Developers Conference. I've prepared a slideshow and a few things to share with you guys. I hope you can see this. So Rahul kindly invited me to speak to you guys about some of my experience on the topic of hiring and salary trends in the Indian games industry. So I'll start with just filling in a bit more about my background. As Rahul mentioned, I run Adventure Recruitment. I'm from the UK and I moved to California, which was when I first I was into IT recruiting in England, and I got headhunted myself and moved over to California. But then this was back in 2002. I doubt if many of you were around in the industry then, but there was the dot-com crash, and that's when we decided to transition into the games recruitment business, and I've been in it ever since then. It's been a very good business to be involved with. So I had my own firm in California, and I sold up my shares in that and moved to India in 2006, and that's when I started Adventure Recruitment. And I've been helping games clients. Back in the US, it was the big console game developers, people like Electronic Arts, Activision, some of the biggest US game developers, mainly to hire European people and relocate them to the US. But then when I moved to India, we were initially doing a lot of the international business. We had 25 recruiters. We were working a night shift supporting US and European clients. And back then, the Indian market was predominantly just art outsourcing. But what's been really nice to see here in India over the last 15 years is how much the market's grown. Firstly, the sort of back office operations were coming in, people like Zynga, Ubisoft, and Glue. But now even more so, it's nice to see that so many original product companies. And most recently, we've been helping companies like MPL, Moonfrog, Jet Synthesis, Leela Games, and Bombay Play. We also do a bit of crossover. We're sort of 90% plus game specialist, but there's sometimes a bit of a crossover. So educational technology companies, we've been helping Baiju's to hire a lot of Unity people recently. We do VR and AR, and we've helped some animation companies as well. So what we do is we help companies to find the best talent. And, you know, even though these companies often have big HR departments and lots of recruiters, it's still extremely hard to find the best people. People like maybe a lot of you listening to this are in high demand, you're in a good position, you're treated pretty well. So we help companies by reaching out to those exceptional people and saying something really special's come up, and connecting companies with them. There goes my power. I will continue. Sorry, I live just outside of Bangalore and we have power issues. So what we do, that was for clients. With candidates, we help people to get better jobs, better salaries, and we help them throughout the interview process. And we work across all of the sort of main positions involved with game development. So that's developers is probably about half of what we do. That's just the biggest demand area. But we do designers, artists, product managers, and producers. And if anybody would like to connect with me, oh great, power's back. On the discuss section, I'm just posting my email and LinkedIn if anybody would like to connect. But moving on, let me share the information I've been asked to share. So let's get right to it. Salaries is something people are generally very interested to know, and the positions that are in demand right now. So top of the list would be game developers. And looking at people anywhere from sort of a mid-senior or lead level, we're seeing salaries right now from our clients ranging from about 10 to 30 lakhs. And we're, for tech directors, the salary range is about 40 lakhs to 1 crore. We placed a guy about a month ago who was on 1.5 crores plus stock, which, but that was a sort of an outlier. He might be one of the best guys in India. But these are some general ranges for you. Designers are extremely high demand, but there's a big shortage of them in India. So there's not so many around, but the market rates for that we're seeing are about 8 to 25 lakhs. For design directors, about 20 to 50 lakhs. For producers and product managers, about 15 to 40 lakhs. Lead product managers, about 50 lakhs to 1 crore. Artists, there are so many artists. Salaries are going up, but it is unfortunately one of the less paid areas of the market. But there's a big demand right now for tech artists. We're getting rates of about 15 to 30 lakhs. And art directors about 30 to 60 lakhs. So Rahul asked me to talk about what's hot and what's not. Really, everything's hot right now. It's the hottest I've seen the market here in India in all my time in the last 15 years. All of the positions are in high demand right now. Okay, so moving on, I thought a good general topic to, you know, if you're looking at your own personal career, a good starting point to think about is what are your long-term objectives and how are you going to get there? And this is really very different for each person. And our team of lead recruiters, when they interview people, it's one of the hardest questions to ask. We often have to ask, I mean, the simple question is, what are your motivations? Where do you want to get to? But it often takes sort of 3 or 4 questions to try and help uncover it. Some of the things you may be thinking about for yourself is you want creative fulfillment. If you want to really be part of the person making decisions and coming up with the creative vision or new creative, technical aspects for the games. Other people, it's very important what kind of games they work on, and some people say to me that they want to work on. They've had enough of violent games. They want to work on games that their kids can play and they feel proud of. Other people say they want to work on more hardcore games that they enjoy playing, and they've had enough of casual games. So it's really a personal choice. Do you want to grow into management? Some people, that's their goal. They want to become the head of the team that they're working, the tech director or design director, or even higher to run a studio at some point. But other people get promoted out of great programmers, get promoted to become tech directors, and they actually really miss being hands-on. So what is it you want for your career? Do you want to become an expert in what you do? Is that your goal? Do you want to be not so much you don't care so much what game you work on, but you want to become an expert in the technology or methodologies that you're working in? Do you want to move abroad? Some people, that's their goal. I hear a lot of people want to move to Europe, where you can actually get visas if you're good enough. The US is very difficult for visas, but that might be your goal. Or quite often people who are in a very senior position, they want to save loads of money and retire. That could be your goals. So, all right. So another topic that I thought might be a good general one to discuss is, do you think you should be working for small, mid, or large size companies? So there's pros and cons to each. So looking at the bigger companies, working for a bigger company does have a lot of pros, right? So you're going to learn good practices and procedures. You're probably going to get very good training. You're going to work, most likely you're going to work on higher quality, higher budget games. You'll get to learn from a lot of other experienced people around you. But some of the cons that I often hear, sometimes people can find it frustrating. You might only get to work on something very narrow. You might work on the same game for ages. There might be a lot of office politics that you don't like. So thinking about smaller companies, pros and cons. At a smaller company, you might get to take on a lot more responsibility and have a broader role. You might get to work on an original game from scratch, if that's one of your objectives. You might get a more senior title. So I'd say, generally speaking, when you're earlier in your career, it's better to work for a bigger company or a more highly regarded company where you can learn and grow. And later you can take on a more senior position at a smaller company. But these are very general rules. You really have to look at the company and the position that will suit whatever your objectives are. And we certainly have some really cool, well-funded startups where you could work with industry veterans and learn a lot from and work on original products. So consider what will suit you. All right. So another topic I thought might be useful to mention is, how long do you think you should work for one company, and when is it a good time to move on? And I have an analogy I use, which is, it's a bit like riding up in a building in an elevator. So if you're going up and everything's great at your current company and your position, and you're learning great things, you're getting promotions, the company's doing well, then great, keep riding that elevator. But if things are slowing down, then maybe that's the time for you to consider a switch and picking an elevator that's going to move you up faster. It's definitely not good to switch within a year of joining a company, it won't look good, unless you join a company and it's a disaster. The position's nothing what they promised you, then maybe you could just quickly get out and never show it on your resume. But generally speaking, if you've been in a company for 6 or 12 months and it's good and someone's just calling you with a job with more money, it's not going to look good to leave in less than a year. But equally, it's not so good to stay at one company for more than 3 or 4 years. So it's good to broaden your experience, learn different ways of doing things, and work on different games. But one extra thought is just don't expect when you change jobs to get a more senior title. If you're a senior person right now and you want to become a lead, then you probably will get the same title when you switch companies. But the purpose of doing it will be to join somewhere where you've got more growth opportunity and you'll get your promotions when you're in the new company. You'll most probably get a much better salary, you'll get more experience, but the promotions up to a lead position will come when you join later, once you've joined the new company and done a good job. And unless you're joining a smaller company, maybe you're a senior in a big company and a small company will offer you a lead position. Okay. Oops. So let me have a little sip of water. So what about founding your own company? So this is the high risk, high reward option. And if you want to start your own game company, there's probably more opportunity now than ever before to do this. However, it's still extremely difficult and it's even more competitive than ever. The successful people that I've seen have done this usually have developed their skills and their contacts working at big companies, and then they make what we call a breakaway team, a small group of some of the best people from a big company, and then they're able to raise the funds on the back of their collective experience. So I'd be very careful of trying to do this with a team of inexperienced people or in an underfunded situation. But there are no rules to this. There are enough stories of billionaires leaving their university degree and setting up a company as their first job. But generally that's like the Elon Musks and Bill Gates. I don't hear much of that in the games industry. Okay, so how to apply for jobs? I thought this might be worth making comment on. The first option is the most obvious one. So you can search for jobs all over the place, many job boards, LinkedIn, or you can go to companies' own websites and see if they have suitable positions for you and apply. However, much better than this is to keep on good terms and keep in contact with old colleagues and old managers of yours. And then if you find somebody you know is working at a company that you're interested in, then you can bypass all of the regular HR screening. You can usually bypass a lot of the interview process, and they will have a lot more confidence in hiring you if someone can vouch for what you really are like. So that, I would say, is the number one way to do it. Naturally, I'm going to say that using a recruitment company is a good option as well. I'd say that's a close number two. Working with a recruitment company can really help if you have high demand skills. Then a company like ours, or there are others, will know a whole range of jobs that you might not be aware of. They will have already asked each company what their salary budgets are, and they should present you with a short list of suitable companies and positions, and then help you throughout the process and help negotiate a great salary package for you. Okay, so looking at how to negotiate a great salary package, I would suggest that you tell people what you're looking for and why. So when we work with clients, we tell them right from the start when we send somebody's details over what their current salary is and what they're looking for, so that it avoids wasting everyone's time. But this is usually in high demand situations. It depends on your situation. If you're early in your career and very keen on working for the company that you're talking to, you could simply say, I'm open to a fair market rate, and then see what they offer you, check with your friends if it is reasonable and if it will work for you. But if you're experienced in your career and you have a particular salary in mind, then it would be good to ask what salary range they have available and make sure that would work for you. But be careful not to come across as too money-minded. Companies will understand that strong candidates are going to cost more, but they won't want to hire somebody if they think that money is your top priority, because they'll fear that you'll leave as soon as you get a few more lakhs somewhere else. So you have to present things in a smart way. You can wait until you've completed your interviews, and then if they're really keen on you, they will suggest a salary number for you and you can negotiate on it. It's good to have some good reasons to justify what you're looking for, such as your company hasn't given anyone pay reviews in a while, or you're just about to get your performance review and you'll be expecting at least 20% increase, whatever it is. Or if you're moving from a small town to somewhere with a much higher cost of living, or if you've got friends with the same experience as you who are making more and you know that you're currently being very underpaid compared to market rates. These are all very valid reasons to present. But the best situation of all to get the highest salary packages is when you have multiple offers. So we have this with high demand candidates, especially like developers or product managers. And it's difficult to manage, but it usually works out the best for the candidates. If you interview with 4 or 5 companies and you get offers from 2 or 3, if you handle it delicately, you can weigh up which position you're most interested in, and the companies will know that they have to put out their best offer to secure you. We manage this carefully. Firstly, you don't want the company you're most keen on to offer you first, and then you end up dragging it out to find out the other offers, and you risk losing the first one. And it shouldn't be too money focused. As I mentioned earlier, you don't want to come across as too money minded, but the companies will know that money will be a big factor, whatever you say. So what we do is we usually ask candidates to decide which position that they want the most, and then we see if that company can at least match the best of your other offers from the different companies. Just gonna have a sip. So I thought of some other items just to mention for planning your career. Avoid long notice periods. So if a company offers you a position with 3 months notice, be aware that this is going to be a big problem when you look for new jobs. You might not be thinking of it as you're just joining a new company, but in 2, 3, 4 years' time, it's going to be an issue, because almost all companies, when they're hiring, they want people to start within 1 month or 2 months max. Even if they could wait for 3 months, they're going to be concerned about it, because what often happens is they offer people, they resign, and then during those 3 months, they get contacted by other companies and they don't even join after the company's been waiting for 3 months. So it will be a big issue. So my next point is about researching the company that's offered you. If you're in advanced stages or you've received a job offer, make sure you've done some extra research on the company. Check out Glassdoor for reviews on what it's really like to work there. There's usually a couple of bad ones in there that might be disgruntled employees who weren't that good and they got let go. So don't expect it to be perfect reviews. But if the majority of them are good, that's a really good sign. And ask if you've got any friends who work there. That's one of the best ways of getting an opinion you can really trust, or friends of friends that you could reach out to find out. A really useful thing to do is to have mentors for your career. So if you can keep in touch with your old managers and your friends who are in senior positions and ask them for advice on your career and which offer you can choose, that's a great way to go. I mean, obviously talk to your family too, but in terms of making an important career decision, somebody who understands the industry would be much better than, distant aunts and uncles who might just judge it on the biggest company rather than the one that's doing well. So I put together a couple of points that are things that we share with clients of ours, employers, just so you're aware of the other side of things. One thing I often say is an interview should be about as much about getting a candidate excited about working for you as much as seeing if they have the skills that you need. So uncovering what people are interested in long term. We spoke about the motivations and what your long-term goals, it may be you're most interested in the games they're working on or the technologies or the opportunities for growth and promotions. So whatever it is, talk to the candidate about that and what it's going to be like for them at your company, and will it be a good place for them? Get them excited, because it's such a candidate driven market right now. You need to, if you want to hire the best people. And have a good process. The whole interview process should be great from the beginning to the end. Will candidates say, even rejected candidates, will they say, gosh, I really want to work for that company, I messed up, I'm going to apply again in a year or two? Or are they going to say, I don't like that company, they've got too much ego, they're so slow at interviewing, they rescheduled the interviews, they made me wait, they didn't seem to know anything about me when they got on the phone with me, they made me do tests before even talking to me. Think about having a really great process. Be open with candidates about the good and the bad about your company. If your company has a bad reputation for something, then the chances are the candidate will already know about it, or they'll find out about it when they do their research if you get to advanced stages with them. So it's best to address it. Maybe things are really chaotic because of the growth at your company and you're trying to put structures and procedures in place for that. Or maybe you've had layoffs in the past. Telling candidates about these issues will start to build trust and give candidates a good feeling about what it would be like for you to work with them. I had an instance recently with a tech director. They'd finished all the rounds of interviews. They said, yep, we love him, we want to offer him, but we want to set up one more call. Tell him it's not an interview. Tell him it's just because our company's grown so much, things are chaotic, and we don't want him coming in here expecting everything to run smoothly. We've got a lot of fires that need putting out. And so I set up that call. They'd chosen somebody different because the guy had come from Google and he joined this games company, so he could give the perspective of what it's like coming from a more structured environment. And the candidate loved it. He said, I wasn't expecting, this is exactly what I was expecting. I knew it would be chaotic, but I just really appreciate them being honest about the situation, and I want to join them. So the next point is about don't lowball candidates with your offers. I've had clients more so in the past than in the current market, because everyone knows how high demand it is. But whatever the candidate's asking for, if the candidate for the position is asking for 30 lakhs, they'll say to me, oh, but we love him, but will he take 28 lakhs? Or if a candidate for the same position is asking for 20 lakhs, they'll say, oh, but can we give him 18? Or the same, even if they're a cheap candidate of 15, they'll say, will he take 13? And the market's such that that's not going to work. And the whole thing, going back and negotiating, if the candidate's been very clear about what they're looking for, it just changed the whole tone of the conversation. If you go in with a low ball offer, if you realize that's not going to work and then you put it back up, it often has changed the candidate's mind, and it's not going to work. So that's the advice I have for our clients. So those are my main points I wanted to share with you. I have posted in the discussion comments, if anyone would like to reach out to me directly, my email address. If you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, I accept all connection requests that are from people in the games industry. And now we can open this up to question time. I think, as Rahul mentioned, you could post questions in the discussion, in the Q&A area. And I'm going to jump over and see what we've got.
Yes. So I've picked a few questions, and I've been trying to answer some which were a little bit more on the basic side. So the ones I would say is there's one from Shubham, and Shubham asks, what kind of quality and skill are you and your clients looking for? If someone applies for game development with an initial experience of 2 to 3 years, so which is kind of like just a little bit beyond entry level, what are people looking for in at that position?
That's getting technical. I tell you honestly, as a recruiter in the industry, the clients often look for where, certainly when at the level at which we're submitting people and they're deciding whether to interview you or not, they're going to look at where have you worked? Is it a good company? It might be a small one, but it's got a good reputation, a quality game. How well the questions we ask when we're pre-screening are, what technologies do you specialize in? What's your most successful game so far? And they're going to check that you're not a job hopper. They're going to check that your salaries expectations are reasonable, and then they're going to interview you and get more technical with you. And I can't tell you the technical questions, but those are the main things. Rahul, does that kind of answer it? As much?
Yes. So what I would add is that the company you apply for will have a specific requirement, because everyone works, most people work in Unity, but they usually have specific requirements for their kind of games. Some might want you to specialize in front end. Some might say, we have multiplayer. Some might say, we have this particular kind of game, this particular kind of job for you. So that's a very specific question. But generally, of course, people look for quality. People look for people who take initiative. And definitely, I would say your portfolio. Like, don't even go anywhere without a portfolio, even if you're a programmer. Right? Don't just have a resume. If you want to increase it, do you want to talk a little bit about portfolios, perhaps?
Yeah, portfolios are more important than a resume for artists. Our clients with art positions open won't even accept a resume without a portfolio. For people on the technical side, they don't so much have portfolios, but they often have a personal website, like a GitHub link, or they have personal coding projects.
By portfolio, I mean a place where people can really have a look at the quality of your games. Because if you just say, I worked on some game, people are like, okay, I don't know what this is. But if you have a portfolio from programmers, basically some screenshots, some videos of the games you made, perhaps what you learned. I actually made a video on portfolios. So it's really important. It really helps your chances, even in a technical role, if you have a nice site where they can go and see your work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, high demand candidates, a 1-page or a 2-page resume is enough. It shows where you've worked, and if you've worked at the top places, you're in a different market from, some people don't even write up resumes and they just work off their LinkedIn profiles. But what you're saying is true for everyone. You will stand out and it will look better if, I've seen some people have their personal websites with nice graphical images of the game they've worked on, links to the Play Store, links to the reviews on how well, or a summary of, the average user levels, download numbers on the games. Nicely presented ways of doing that will make you stand out. And if you're someone earlier in your career, that could be a make or break to present it in that way.
Right. I think that's a great answer. That's a great answer. Okay. All right. Moving on. So the one thing I will say, everybody, not everybody, a lot of people are talking about the big AAA companies in India, right? People say, EA, Rockstar, Ubisoft, right? I want to get into Rockstar, whatever, as an intern or as a designer developer. So can you perhaps talk a little bit about the big three companies, these big three AAA companies in India, and your experience with them, how to get in, and what it's like?
Well, we recruit for Electronic Arts. We used to recruit for Rockstar. Haven't done much with them recently. Who was the third one you mentioned? Sorry.
Ubisoft, Rockstar,
And you,
Ubisoft,
yes,
Rockstar, EA.
and Ubisoft we've recruited for in the past. They're they're good companies working on major games. You'll get excellent experience. But honestly, there's just as much exciting stuff. MPL are a client we're recruiting for right now. They've been going for 3 years. They've got 900 employees. They've grown to a $1.2 billion valuation, and they're focused on the Indian market and some other countries. But they're making original products. You'll get to work on full cycle games and build a platform that's being used by 80 games right now. So there's a mixture. It really depends on what people are interested in, Rahul. If anyone wants to reach, I see some of these comments like, would we have jobs for someone with this experience? There's no simple, like asking you, any of the people listening, where do you want to go to in your career? There'd be a different answer from each of you. What jobs do we have for you? I'd encourage you to email me, and I'll have our team reach out personally and present
Yes.
options to you.
Generally,
Please.
these companies, I would say that AAA companies, they want higher quality people, obviously. So if you are shooting for one of these companies, you have to make sure that everything from your resume to your portfolio to your presentation, also your communication skill, because a lot of these companies, you have to deal with teams. So like your communications skills have to be, if you have good English, written and verbal, that really helps. So if you want to break into these AAA companies, these little things, this little bit of polish on who you are, I think makes a difference. Would that be fair
True.
to say?
Yeah, absolutely. And those are definitely great places to start with your career. And they are just very heavily focused on people coming out with a great education and everything. But games industry is often full of people that didn't follow the traditional path. A lot of the games people, if you'd followed a traditional path, you wouldn't be in games, you'd be in IT. And so sometimes, I know great tech directors who don't have good communication skills, don't have a good education, but they've proved themselves coming up through other smaller companies. So maybe start with those big companies. If you get in with them, great. But otherwise, there's a whole industry out there for you to step up, rung by rung
Right.
your career.
No, exactly. But I think that to get that first break, you need to show polish, right? You need like your resume and your portfolio needs to have that little edge which is above other people. Once you get in, it's different,
Yes.
right? You have to prove yourself. Like for your second or third job, you could have a really hastily typed resume, but if your work is so good, you would be undeniable. You know what I mean?
Yes.
At that point.
Yes.
So, all right. So moving on, there are a couple of specific questions about roles. There is one about game developers versus graphic developer. Firstly, I know that there are people who are actually graphics programmers. But I know it's mostly really advanced for mostly advanced Western markets. Do we actually have graphics programmers in the Indian game industry? Is there any demand for that?
We do I don't see many, and they're the guys who often head off to Europe or get jobs abroad. To be a true specialist in graphics seems to me to be something that would be on a big console or a large PC game development team. So they'd be sitting in those few back office companies we'd talked about. For a lot of the mobile game developers we see, they say they'd like somebody who's worked on 3D games, has done some, whether it's OpenGL, whatever the graphics components they've worked on, but not really like a true graphics specialist.
Right.
Rahul, I see one question I quite like. Can I pick that one?
Please.
There's thanks, Tahir. You've asked, how much increment should one keep in mind when switching companies in the games industry? So the standard that people used to say was, I'd like the standard 30% increase. And then companies would maybe get them really excited and see if they take 20% extra. But the good news I've been seeing recently in the market is we've been getting people anywhere from 30 to 100% increases. The market is absolutely crazy right now, and it's a great time to consider other options. As I mentioned earlier, it's good to have good reasons, right? Sometimes the people getting 100% are moving from, I don't know, from Lucknow to Bangalore or something, or they know they've been underpaid. Their company's been in financial trouble. They haven't had a pay rise for 2 years to get 100% increase. But in short answer, I'd say ask for at least 30% increase and give some good reasons. There's another. Can I pick another one, or do you have? There's a nice question by, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Saharuk Mola. What's the demand for a technical artist with 3+ years of experience abroad? So tech artists, as I mentioned earlier, is one of the highest demand areas right now. And it's one of the few jobs where you can get visas and relocation. So we've got positions with Sony internationally where we'd be very happy to recommend you. Or I'm sure if you applied directly to stuff in Europe, especially if you have a personal referral, old contacts have moved over there that could vouch for you, that's the job. A lot of people ask us for international jobs, and probably 90% of people, it's not available. You have to be in a very high demand area.
Excellent. There's another really nice one, I would say. So Santosh is asking, what are the recruiters' criteria to hire producers?
Well, we're picking up the positions from our clients. The positions we get to hire a producer, they're asking us to find producers. That's how it works. That's the thing I wanted to convey. If you're, I don't know, I'm going to take a guess then that you want to become a producer, you're not one yet. So a typical career path to become a producer is often to come up through the QA route, become an expert at testing, seeing what works. And then you become an associate producer, or you become a project coordinator. You get to see how to project manage a game. And then eventually you sort of merge those skills of how to manage a game with what the game should be, and you step up that way.
Excellent. I think we have time for one more last question, and that's about UX designers. A couple of answers. Is UX designers, UI and UX designers, are they a thing in the industry?
Sorry, the last bit, are they UI and UX designers?
Yes.
Are there?
So there's game designers, but is there a UI or a UX specialization in the game industry? Is there demand?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have positions for UI, UX.
All right. Excellent. Excellent, folks. So I think this has been absolutely fantastic. I think we are out of time. And thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, Joseph, for being here. This was brilliant. I think the people who were really lucky to get these insights, because this is the kind of stuff you don't know. This is the kind of stuff people are always asking me on my YouTube channel, like, Rahul, can we? And I was like, Joseph is here answering all of these questions. Absolutely pure gold. Thank you so much for taking time and giving this talk. And guys, once again, there is a little button on the side which is handout. So in handout there is a feedback form, and I would really appreciate if you guys could just go into the handouts and click on that feedback form and actually give your feedback on this talk, and that would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you everyone for being here. His social media links are there. Do get in touch with him. Thank you so much, Joseph, for being here. That was absolutely awesome, and I will see you around.
Yeah, my pleasure. So for anyone that we weren't able to answer your questions, please feel free to reach out to me individually. And the good news is we're in a great industry that's really going places. So let's be grateful for that. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, folks. Thank you for being here. And next, we have an awesome talk by Josh. I think he's next. And if you guys want to, if you're a programmer, you're a technical person, and you want to know how to reach the top, if you want to know how to become a CTO, if you want to understand how to really get ahead in the game industry in a technical role, then do watch that talk. It's starting right now. That's with Josh, he's an old friend of mine from VFS. After that, for the creative people, it's something awesome. For creative people, how do you get to the top? How do we become creative director? How do you run your own studio? So for creative people, artists, designers, Joshi is a CEO. He's going to be talking about that after that particular talk. And for those people who are interested in learning about product management. Now, that's one of the hottest roles, and you saw in his presentation that product managers actually make a lot of money, good salary. So, if anyone is interested in learning about product management, do join the talk. That is going to be the last talk in this particular track. So, I will see you guys there.